our government is going to have to address the reset of our defence and security for this new age at the most difficult time you can imagine for public finances.
Rishi Sunak is less than 24 hours into his new role as Prime Minister, and he has a lot on his plate. The subject of Britain's defence will be a big issue to manage. Joining us now is Sir Richard Barrons, the former commander of the UK's Joint Forces Command. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning.
An early question, which may come as soon as next week when we get this budget statement, if it is indeed next week, will be Liz Truss made some very big spending commitments on defence. The idea of raising the defence spend to 3% of GDP, more than 2% as is currently at the moment, in light of what's gone on in Ukraine. In your view, is it essential for Rishi Sunak, essential for the defence of the realm, to increase spending in that way?
I think it's essential that everybody in the UK, every citizen, recognises that our defence and security is now in a wholly different place from that which we've inhabited for 30 rather comfortable years. We are back in an era of great power confrontation and conflict, and the war in Ukraine is an illustration of what that can feel like. And we're also in an era where the digital age is changing how war is fought and nations confront each other. And our armed forces are at the bottom of a trajectory of post-Cold War decline in numbers and readiness and people, just as we've walked into this major change in global affairs. So we should be absolutely clear that our government is going to have to address the reset of our defence and security for this new age at the most difficult time you can imagine for public finances.
Does that mean more money in practice, in your view?
As it does mean more, it needs more money to fill the holes that exist now in defence in things like ammunition and people, and buying engineering and buying some more equipment. We have very, very small, even if very competent armed forces right now. And then it means investing in the transformation to do the sorts of things that you're beginning to see happening in the war in Ukraine. We confront not just our difficult relationship with Russia, but a world that's going to be far more unstable because of climate change, and in a world in which China and other people works. This is just a new era for defence and security.
Can I put a counterpoint to you, I suppose, is that the lesson of the last year is that Russia is no longer a great power. Their attempt to invade Ukraine has been spectacularly unsuccessful, and ultimately Ukraine, standing alone with support from the West, with support from NATO, has been able to stand up to Russia fairly successfully. So the argument would be that our current levels of spending with weaponry being sent to a country like Ukraine has actually stood up to the task. So the argument might be that although Russia is being more aggressive, the lesson is that we don't need to spend any more because we can kind of gather together as NATO, support a country like Ukraine, and that does enough to withstand Russia.
So that's a very fair point when you look at things right here, right now in 2022. But we need to accept that Russia is going to lose this war with Ukraine. And then Russia will likely be very aggrieved, angry, bitter, and will transform the military that have failed so spectacularly this year. And so we need to be ready to deal with this difficult Russia, whether it's under Putin or someone like Putin, for some years to come.
Russia might have been beaten once, but it's going to be a more unstable world. And therefore, the more money needs to come in for threats other than Russia, and also for Russia 2.0 when it reboots itself after the failure in Ukraine. The line wasn't good for the last few seconds, but we very much understood the point you were making there. That's Sir Richard Barrons, the former commander of the UK's Joint Forces Command.